So here we have to remove paint from laminate so that it can be spot welded afterward. Originally, customer claimed that this material is 16 gauge, which is clearly it's not. The confusion may come from this, it's 0.63 millimeters, and that of course on a caliper looks a little bit like 60 thousandths. But it is actually about 25 thousandths, pretty much consistent. We have some larger rounds here and then some segments for the bigger pieces. This is what is currently being done with a disc grinder, and you can see the grit, and it's fairly coarse. It's probably done with an 80 grit. We ran one piece already. We are having a new piece of 120 grit on the machine, and you're probably gonna have to change paper pretty frequently because it's gonna load up on the paint. Maybe 1 to 2 hours per sheet. But of course, you're gonna get a lot of parts through in those 1 to 2 hours. So here you see basically what we ran, what we set the machine to. We're not touching the conveyor belt, so that's a good thing. Let me show you real quick. Here we have a combination machine. What we are quoting to you is a single head machine, which just has a white belt. This has 120 grit on it. That belt oscillates in order to do the belt centering, but we are going to go so quick that you will not see that wave. Here is a cross belt, which if you wanted to edge round, you would have that in a combination machine. But since I don't think that is necessary for this application, so we're only using this machine to demonstrate the white belt portion. And this is the only thing that we are going to be turning on here. So we are going to turn on the white belt and we are going to turn on the conveyor belt. We have everything set already. I'm going to speed up a little bit on the white belt. This is, like I say, the part that we did. This is the first sample part that we did, and this is the raw material. You can hear it grind, solid. It's on solidly. It doesn't drip on gas. You need in this thin materials, you really need to set the machine accurately, and we had to make sure that everything parallels to the table. And here you see we have a little bit of a thing in the abrasives, but other than that, you are metallically perfectly clean. You see a little bit of dust because we don't have dust collection on it. But the part is still not too hot. You can easily touch it. Probably right now, I would say somewhere around 70 degrees, 80 degrees. So we're going to run it in a different spot. You see we have the conveyor belt going at a pretty good clip. If you slow the conveyor belt down, you grind off more. If you speed it up, you grind off a little bit less. Here you see a few lines in between where there's maybe a little bit of lacquer left, but it should spot weld perfectly fine for you to decide. Let's run, so this is this one. Now let's run the large part. And I hope that we don't do anything to these as we grind over. You can see all the dust coming out. Really, in this application, you need a dust collector. Actually, I think we're going to hook up this after this part. Now, you see how quick that goes. If you feel you need a little bit more, then I will do that on the other side and I'll mark it for you. So this is single pass, right? You can always go a double pass. That is one pass, right? Then I'm going to take the other side, and I can see the grain direction, so I'm going perpendicular to the grain direction right now. And this would be double pass. But you see see how much quicker that is than if you had to do this by hand. You saw the part slip a little bit. That means we need to clean the conveyor belt. So that here now is tool pass, and on the tool pass, which may not be required for you to test, on the tool pass, you see a cross section in there, right? Which is better if you need a lacquer at some point again. Okay. I'm gonna take a break on the video here because I'm gonna hook up the dust collector. We get quite a bit of dust coming out the front, and we are gonna clean the conveyor belt. We've run a number of different samples on there over the last few weeks and months. We never cleaned that conveyor belt, and we need to do that for those bigger parts, not to skip. It won't slip to the point where it throws it out in the back, but as it skips, of course, you're not grinding for a moment. Okay. So now we've made a few modifications. We have this box dust collector that we just use for temporary, and to go on the top of that machine. We don't have quite a long enough ductwork, so we apologize a little bit for the provisional appearance here. I hope that's all right, but it is functional. So now what we're going to do is basically you don't have too many other parts here. We have already run that one large part for you. Here we have a part that we just tried. It has a different lacquer than this part was. And this part has this dull lacquer, which has lines in it. And this is more of a shiny lacquer, which almost appears to be thinner to me. And we test ran one of those too, and you see the results here. So this is very nice and blank. We're gonna do that first for you, and then we are going to run this part. And then everything else is pretty much the same. We're just gonna run that out for you, but not put it on the video anymore, because then that video would get a little bit long and boring, okay? So we're simply going to turn on the dust collector, the belt, and the conveyor. Here we go. So unless we mark the parts, everything is single pass. We only had that one pass part where we had two. And here you see, and I can feel in the surface, I can feel metal. This will weld, I'm pretty sure. You see how quick that goes. So you don't always have to run a single part. You can run them, of course, you can fill the table with that. And you always want to feel the temperature. You want to be warm, but you don't want to be hot. That means you're working. And these parts, you pick up some of the lacquer dust, that's unavoidable. So now on to this part, which also has a thinner lacquer, right? And we'll put that on like this. See, everything fits nice on a 43-inch machine. Now we don't have any dust coming out the front. Here, that looks good. That would be fully sufficient. And like I say, if you ever question that, you can always run it a second time perpendicular. But I don't really think that is necessary at all. You have to pay attention that you set your right belt exactly to the right height by adjusting it on the thread so that you are not in the conveyor belt. Very fine line. You don't need to make a lot of pressure with the right belt. And this material is only 0.6 millimeters thick, but you are totally free of the conveyor belt, and at the same time you make equal pressure left to right onto the part and make it completely blank. When we ship those back to you, we'll put those on a piece of plywood. I'm really surprised that they arrived the way they arrived. They arrived in very good shape, even though they didn't have any backing. Normally UPS would bend those and make corrugated out of those by the time they arrive. So, I'm going to run the rest of these parts out for you. And actually, let me do one more thing for you. This is the one that you were grinding by hand. And you can see how you have that circular motion. I will put that on there for you from one side. So just you can see what that would look differently. You're gonna have, from your disc grinder, you're gonna have some cross scratches in there because they have LED. But this makes it a lot more homogeneous. And yeah, that's a very good appearance, right? Here you still have what you did by hand. Okay, very good. Thank you very much for sending those parts. Send us an order. Thanks.